Going live.
So
going
exciting.
live. Okay, I think we're live. Hey guys, sorry about the delay. I had some Zoom issues. It wasn't because I went to go get coffee, even though that's probably what Seth's saying in the chat. I am here with the
Right.
one and only supersonic, very famous all over the world, Keith Alexander. You guys can sit down.
This
Don't
guy.
applaud for the whole time. How you doing, Keith?
That's some plaudit, man. That's some plaudit.
You like that, right?
Between yourself and Miranda, I'm getting a big head around here. You know what I mean?
Well, you are without a doubt the best audio person we have on Adorama TV.
I'd hope so.
You guys don't know, and you
you're
should.
one of the best photographers as well. You know, it has to be said.
One of, at least in the top 6. So, yes, if you guys don't know, Keith has a show on Adorama TV called
Perfecting Audio with Keith Alexander.
Yep. I was going to say Noise Miner, but that's your website.
Oh, that's just my handle. I just throw that around. I've got a couple of businesses I run through it as well. So yeah, that's just my hashtag. Or if ever you're looking for photographs of me for some reason, I don't know, to throw at your dartboard or something.
Yeah, so I put that stuff in the description, so you guys can find him after. And yeah, so this should be super interesting because not only is Keith Irish, which makes him automatically awesome. You know, we don't normally have anybody but photographers. Like I usually have photographers come on, although we had Fernando who does video. And I actually said this to you, Keith, I think when we did one of those Adorama TV meetings, when I first started on set, they had me doing everything. So I had to learn like all kinds of stuff. One of the very first onsets isn't actually an audio comparison between microphones. So
oh, brilliant.
Yeah,
brilliant.
I'm glad we have you now.
Thank you for all that load, man. You know what I
mean? Yeah. Get over each other. Oh, whatever, Seth. Yeah. So, do you want to come join us, Seth? Seth likes to join us. So yeah, so ask questions about either things that are happening in Ireland or about audio or about anything, and we'll kind of go.
Did you say you have Irish roots there, Daniel?
I do. My grandmother, well, on both sides, grandmothers on both sides were Irish, immigrants that came over.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know where they're from?
Cork on my father's side. I'm not sure on my mother's side.
Beautiful part of the world.
Yeah, we went down actually last summer, the fall. Well, anyways, last year, and went to the house that she grew up in. We figured out where it was and went and and there we are, right? Myself and my sister and her husband and her daughter, and we're standing in the street taking pictures with our phone, and this family comes out and they're just like,
well, you did
so we explained to them,
man.
Yeah, they just, so we say, our grandmother grew up here, and in 1905, or my sister had all, but she moved over, and they started talking to us. They brought us inside. We had drinks with them and everything, and it was super nice. So
magic.
Yeah, there you go.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, no, they didn't throw anything at us. See, if you did that here, right? try that in Brooklyn, right?
I've heard the stories. I've talked to Seth Miranda before. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, but it's super nice. Yeah, it's such a beautiful place.
It's a beautiful part of the world as well. Yeah. So what's the setup here, Daniel? Are they going to ask us loads of questions, and we all have to try and scramble for the answers?
That's the hope.
Yeah, hang on a second. I'll get my Wikipedia.
Oh, okay. Oh, so Seth says that he's going to be on Twitch later, so he can't bother with us.
Oh, right. Thanks, Seth.
Where in Ireland are you there, Keith?
So I'm in the glorious confines of Dublin City, which is, we're in the south of the city, just at the foot of the mountains there. So I live in absolute paradise in that we have the mountains, 15-minute walk that way, 20-minute drive that way. We're sitting by the sea. And yeah, it's just gorgeous out here. It's gorgeous, 8 minutes that way, I got a big lake. You can go fishing if that's your thing. And as I say, 15 minutes that way and you're into the wilderness in the mountains. It's just gorgeous, So that's where we've set up our little homestead,
That's the way to do it. I also live like out of the city now. I think that at some point it's nice to get out. I mean,
Oh
I
man,
lived
yeah.
in
I
Queens
saw
for
your
a while.
video there the other day, and you had these beautiful trees around you. Looks
Yeah,
gorgeous.
and like I say, it's so close. It's like less than an hour for me to go into Manhattan, so I can have.
And that's still New York State, yeah?
Yep, yep.
Oh
New
yeah,
York City.
beautiful. My sister's up in Connecticut, which is a beautiful
Oh,
part of the world as well.
yeah. Connecticut's where all the rich people from New York go.
Oh really? I don't know what she's doing there then.
No,
She'll
kidding.
kill me.
It's like Connecticut is basically the suburbs of New York.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah, but no, we flew into Dublin actually, and went to Ukulele Tuesdays. So now when I think of Ireland, I think of everybody playing ukuleles.
Oh
Apparently, this
wow.
is a thing. Did you have you been to this? This is the thing.
Obviously not. No.
Well, now you got to go. You
I
go,
will.
and
My daughter's picked up the ukulele a few months ago.
there you go. And you get there, and everybody kind of gathers around, and of course, like the people that are good are like in the front, and
Sure.
they play ukulele, and they put the songs up on like a projector, and everybody sings along. It was wild. It was a hell of
Oh,
a thing. Yeah.
brilliant. That
Yeah,
was in
so
Dublin, was it?
that's right in Dublin. Yeah, I can find the thing and send it to you at some point.
Oh,
It'll
please,
take me a long time
please.
to find it, so I won't do it now.
I'd bring her down there and she could just jam along.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I was hanging out. Of course, I had a Guinness, not a ukulele. Some random person gave me one, and they're just like, "Just do this," and I was like, so it was pretty awesome. So
Happy days. Happy
yeah.
days.
Okay, so can you talk about processing audio in FCPX?
Final Cut Pro 10.
Oh,
I could for hours. I wouldn't have a whole lot to say, to be honest with you. And what's even worse is with Final Cut Pro 10, they bequeath you the ability to actually output the audio from Final Cut Pro 10. When Final Cut Pro 7 came around, you couldn't output the audio. You used to be able to previous to that. And then Final Cut Pro 7 came along and you couldn't take the audio out. It was unbelievable. And then 10 came out, and then you could buy this plugin for $250. And then you could take your audio out of that with a very, let's say, loose affair as regards getting the audio out. So yes, you can buy I wouldn't necessarily deem Final Cut Pro's audio abilities world class by any stretch of the imagination. There is an awful lot of gigs that I've ended up doing that we've taken the audio out. Basically, I that's the workflow that I would deal with most editors, either from their Avid, from their DaVinci, from whatever system they're using. They just take out all their audio, give me a picture, and I mix and design and build and tweak and fix and do all what I do to that in my Pro Tools or in my Nuendo, depending on the project or depending on where I am in the world doing that. So yeah, Final Cut Pro, I don't know. I always picture it and iMovie very, very akin, to be honest
well, I
with
think
you.
that was the idea, right? They like made it simplified because they thought they could reach a wider base. That's my understanding. I use Premiere. Because that's what they used it at Aramis, so I had to learn what they had. So, and I have Audacity, so you can
it's good. It's good.
It sucks the audio out, and then you work on it separately.
Audacity is brilliant in that its simplicity is just gorgeous, and I'm always applauding it on the show because it's free, and it's an actual DAW that people can kind of get their head around easily enough, even when they're starting off, but then they recognize little bits in Audacity that they see in the big daddy-o, DAWs that, oh, there's a solo button and there's a mute button, but I recognize that so the big DAWs aren't looking as scary as, they would be if they went straight to them. So we're trying to build up a confidence throughout the series with the Audacity and doing little aspects of it and playing with it. And I got people to read the manual. I want you to play with it and stuff like that. So the confidence comes up. So suddenly if they turn around here and they see a professional DAW, now they're not just going to go completely freaked out, you know? So it's a great little piece of kit, and it's free. Anyone can download it for absolutely free. For a Linux machine, for a Windows machine, for a Mac machine, grab all the audio you want and just start playing away, man. And it's a great little piece of kit as a foundation tool. I mean, it's super. The Premiere thing, you have certain abilities with your audio. They're not great. I just find Premiere very lumpy video-wise as well. You know, it's not like you can pull in low-res stuff and then blast it up there. I've been using a thing called DaVinci Resolve, just for putting video together and stuff like that for the show, especially during the COVID thing, because I had to shoot all my own stuff. And basically, it's brilliant because you can download version 16 if you have a good machine. You do need the good machine because you're basically playing with video, you know. But you got your edit tab and you got another couple of tabs for your graphics and stuff like that. But there's a Fairlight tab in there, which is a full feature DAW as well. So the project doesn't have to leave the environment at all. So literally for the paid version, if there was an editor down the corridor and he's working on the picture, I could literally be working on the exact same audio that he's working on. He's working on the picture, I'm working on the audio in a different room. And you've got a fully blown DAW there, and it's like serious piece of kit, especially version 16. They have a free version. You just download it. If your Mac or your PC can handle it, wow, you should really check it out. It's very, very impressive, you know?
Oh, maybe I'll look at that. I feel a little tied to Adobe because I use it so much, but I don't use it, you know, so that
Well, you'd have the Creative Cloud with Photoshop.
Yeah, I have the whole cloud package.
Yeah.
You know,
well, stick with what you love, you know?
Yeah. Well, no, it's worth messing with. I'm always, like I said, I use Premiere because that's what they were using. So and since I already had Photoshop, I just went the whole package. But over time, I've been using less and less of the stuff. Like I used to use Lightroom, but now I don't use that anymore. So yeah, Seth was asking about explaining the difference between levels and gain when you set up mic.
Okay, if you set up your gain, you're bringing up, for want of a better term, the volume of your microphone. Okay, so the levels, if you consider that your levels would be like the meters, I know maybe, I'm sure Premiere has it, excuse me. Premiere would have your meters, and you can get some meters in Audacity. And that's kind of your level, the overall level you have to think about. Gain is like bringing up the volume, just turning up the volume knob on your microphone. Whereas the level would be, you're considering the overall level of the show, like your music, your voiceover, your sound effects, that kind of thing. So it would be a difference. It's more a reference thing. Do you know what I mean? Bring up my level in my cans, you can say as well. Of course, it's only a term. But bring up my gain is doing the same thing, but it's kind of references different aspects of the gig, basically, you know?
Right. So like the gain is kind of the audio that's coming, like if you were coming into something, your gain is how much audio is going into it.
Your gain is, if you could think about gain as just a big volume knob on your stereo or whatever, or your amp or your preamp or whatever you're plugging your microphone into. And then the level, if you consider levels, because people use the term level more for the overall, what you'd be dealing with as regards the master level per se, the overall loudness of the show, stuff like that. So they're your kind of levels. It's just the way people use the terms differently, you know? So maybe in America they go, oh, turn up the level in my cans, or generally I would use gain as regards that big knob that you're turning up to get more level or gain, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's kind of funky, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Because I know that, like, for instance, what I learned, you know, from the guys who were showing me is like when you're setting your levels, like you want your voice to peak out at a certain point, and then like your
Yes.
background music should peak out here, you know, and then you look at those things where they fall within the range, so that like
Yes.
your room tone, the level of the room tone needs to be here. Your voice itself should be above it by a certain amount, like that kind of.
Yeah, that's a
That's your
really good
levels.
analogy. Really good. So if you consider your levels as there's your voice, the levels, the different levels, there's your voice up here, your music is under there, you know, so we can hear it's all important. The message is all important. We want that to be heard and coherent. So we don't blast the music over because now we can't hear the message. So we bring the level of the music down. So there you go. You got your levels going on and then your sound effects coming under here. So we've 3 levels now in our whole mix. So yeah, that's a really good
Right.
analogy.
Thank you. See, I know something.
You know lots, man.
Okay, so let's see. What about a love machine? Is that supposed to just be a joke? I don't know what
I
that
have
means.
no
Or is a love
idea.
machine a thing? It's Seth, so it could be a joke. Sensitivity. Oh, right. So, is gain sensitivity?
Sensitivity is, as regards what I'd be thinking of, is the sensitivity of your mics.
Like your range, basically.
Microphone that's your, I don't know, a condenser mic, an SM58 that you'd have on stage. You know, you're doing your rock star thing. But if you bring that into a really close quarter and you're trying to record something really delicate, you use a different dynamic studio mic, you know, and has much better sensitivity. And all
Right.
these different mics have different sensitivities for different jobs, you know. Some are more
Yeah.
sensitive to bass ranges, some more to vocal ranges, some to hi-hats and stuff like that, you know. So yeah. Or is he
Yeah,
just
that
talking
makes
about
sense.
my sensitivity?
Yeah. No. And I think too, like to put it in like photography terms, like a very your sensitivity is almost like your ISO, right? Like your if you have a mic that's very sensitive, it's good at high ISO. It's going to
Yes.
pick up that the softer sounds. But
Yeah.
it might blow out if there's too much sound. So you want a
Yeah,
mic
yeah.
that's
You
less
could
sensitive.
destroy the mic in some senses, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. Yeah, there's this really cool mic. I always forget the name of it. It's this Shure mic, and it's a stereo mic. It's a shotgun, but it's got two different you know stereo, so it's two different pieces,
Caps,
and
yeah.
then you can actually control that on each one. So when we record this music show, which I always talk about because it was my favorite thing I ever did, we were able to do that, right? Exactly what you said. Like one mic we set like to go to the voice, and the other one we
Yes.
adjusted slightly so it picked up the guitar differently. Like you could adjust like
Okay.
and it really made a big difference, like the pattern of it, but also just the way the range that you picked it up, you know, because of
Yeah,
course
we did a show on polar patterns. The polar patterns are those little diagrams that you see on your microphone, and you might see an 8 on there, you might see a big 0 on there, and that's just basically the pickup pattern of the microphone. This is a very directional microphone that I'm on now, so you can use those artistically, just like you're saying. You know, I mean, if you have your 8, it picks up, there's my microphone, it picks up from this side and this side, but very little from either this side, you know. So you could have a vocalist here and a vocalist here, or a vocalist there, and, you know, position it this way, getting a bit of your guitar down here and a bit of vocal there or something, you know, or even just a bit out there and you get a lovely bit of the room as well. Just grab a little bit of the room reverb, if you have a pleasant room reverb, just to give it a little bit of warmth, a bit of width if you want, you know, and it's just a bit of soakage, you know, and just bring it all into the space and bring the listener into the space as well. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's on the playlist. The Perfecting Audio playlist is all about polar patterns, and it's literally just us talking about, well, this does this and this does this. So you just get a sense of those patterns on the microphones. If ever you hold a microphone, especially studio microphones and stuff like that, you'll always see the polar pattern on there, because it's part of the creativity that people position mics and use the polar patterns to recognize how these microphones work. So I'll use that because it picks up a little bit of this, but less of that. So that's how I position my mic, you know?
Yeah, that's so interesting. See, I always think about, because of the, my experience with audio is more just getting it, not the artistic
Yeah.
part of it. So like we had this, I don't have it anymore because it was part of that Arma kit. It was this Sennheiser mic, I believe, that you could take the tips off and change them. So
Yeah.
you would have like your tighter pattern if you would, let's say, if you're doing one person here in like a crowded room, and then you'd have like your cardioid if you were doing like a 2-person interview, you want to get more, 2 people in
Absolutely.
it. And then of course you had Omni, of course, if you want to. So it was a pretty cool little kit.
Yeah. So that's a real saver. I just bought these mics a couple of months ago, and you can change the caps. So, like, I mean, it just allows you a little more freedom and allows you to get a little more bang for your buck, if you will, as well. You know, in that, you know, you can do those extra little jobs with it. You know, these ones, they're shotgun mics that I use all the time on absolutely everything. They're beautiful. They're the Rode NT55s. And just when I heard them, oh my, I lost my mind. And I went in, I was recording a movie in the studio, and all the lads walk in, you know, they're walking around with their Neumanns and, you know, oh, look, your man's little microphone, ho, 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 you know. And the next thing was they all just came in, they listened to it, and they bought it the next day. They went out and they ordered it and just bought them straight away. But as I say, with these, I'll be going out to record sound effects. So I'm kind of trying to capture different widths and depths and stuff. So to change the caps on these things is great, because it just gives you a little more scope than having to go off and buy two microphones, you know, as opposed to just the one that has the different caps.
Right. That's exactly the thing, right? It's like this is a Rode mic, NT55. Now I'm curious. Oh, yeah.
You'll find the NT55. Now you can buy them as single or match pairs. I have the match pairs, and that's what I record my sound effects with.
Oh, yeah.
And Jesus, they're just magnificent.
Oh, are these the ones that you just used in the one where you're outside?
Yes. Did you watch that?
Okay. Yeah.
So I shot that up. That's up in the mountains up the back there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just 10 minutes away from my house. Loved it up there. It's tremendous. Yeah. That's up by C Chan and C Finn. These mountains, C Chan and C Finn and C Finnegan. And all the mountains up behind us have Neolithic tombs. So these things were built 4,000 years ago by the Neolithic people. And it's just, I don't know if you've ever heard of Newgrange or things like this, but they all came here and they spent generations just burying their people in here, burying their people in there. And up there is amazing, because on C Finn, there's one, and it was excavated in 1963. But if you actually go up there, the door is there and everything. I must show you photographs of this. It's like somebody just closed the door and put out the cat and left. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. It's just so intact and so beautiful. It's unbelievable. So we got all those up in the mountains there, and that's where I was shooting that. It was great.
Yeah, actually, we went to one, and of course, now I won't remember the name, but it was the Neolithic, and it was like a mound. And you went in, and there was
there's all sorts of types of cairns and all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
so interesting. And they were talking about how, like, certain times a year, or the solstice or whatever, the light comes directly into this spot. It was so interesting.
That's it.
Yeah, I was like, wow, and these people figured this out and were able to build this. Yeah, it's wild.
I mean, thousands of years before the pyramids were ever built. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we just don't regard these people at all for having any intelligence. They were just brilliant, you know, and trading all over the world. You know, there's one literally just on the foot of the hill. There's just behind us here. It's called the Hellfire Club, Montpellier. I call it Alexander Mountain, so I say goodnight, John Boy, and all that sort of stuff at night time. You know, we're up on Alexander Mountain, and they found the biggest Neolithic tomb up there. And as they were excavating it, this is only 2 years ago, they found this ceremonial axe head that was like 3,000 or 4,000 years old. And just I was chatting away to the head archaeologist, and he just hands it to me, and I'm just holding it, and it's like, oh, amazing. And the funny thing is, there's an island off North County Dublin called Lambay. Beautiful thing. We've a holiday home up there, and I'm looking out of the holiday home for 35 years out onto, it's a private island, nobody's allowed on it, you know. And I'm looking out onto this for 35 years, and we've such a connection and an affinity with the island. And then we move here 17 years ago, and 2 years ago they find a piece of this, because the ceremonial axe head was quarried and made on Lambay. So to have that connection, you know, was kind of wild, you know. It was beautiful, really beautiful.
Wow. That's like that's so interesting. You know, it's like things that happen and later on, they kind of come together like full circle.
I think the universe has a plan.
Whoa, okay. Now I'm missing all the. Yeah,
Oh, sorry, I'm rambling here, and you're missing all your questions.
No, you're doing good. I have to look at that. Oh, somebody's been a sound engineer. Zoom is a spying tool for all governments.
Hmm.
Ah, okay. Well, that's probably true. And boom. Bye-bye. And that's how I do that.
Any opinion about the Zoom F1LP
Oh,
and the interchangeable modules? I do
F1.
actually. I played with that. It's a super little thing. It's a little recorder about that size, maybe smaller, and you plug in this lav and you hit record. It's got a couple of little buttons on there, and it puts a little tone on, and you record your voiceover. It clips onto your belt. It's just like a belt pack, and it's also got this proprietary connector for Zoom machines. It's a 10-pin connector, and you can connect all sorts of modules on there: shotgun mic, stereo mic, MS mic, and I don't know what you're shooting that you'd be looking at the Zoom F1, but it's a great little machine. I mean, if you're shooting video or you're a self shooter with iOS devices, or you're shooting with DSLR, or you're just taking interviews, why not, man? Give it a lash. I mean, I think they're fairly cheap.
Yeah, 169 it looks like. That, you know what it looks like to me? I'm looking at it. It looks like a digital watch like I had when I was a kid in the 80s.
Look at me, the Gemini man. Do you remember the Gemini man? The original Gemini.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's too funny. Is it just, oh, I see, no, there's two plugs. I guess it must be stereo because I just see the screen shows it as a mono recording, but or maybe it's a
Yeah,
mix.
I think it records in stereo, all right.
Yeah,
And then it's just a little 3.5 connector for your lav, and that's literally it. But the fact that the capsule is on the top, the 10-pin, you can connect. There's another capsule that they have, and you can plug in two XLRs to it. So it's a really, because of the little 10-pin, it's a really versatile machine. I don't know how. I mean, if your car ran over it, I don't know how long it would last. But, if you took care of it and minded it and minded yourself, then yeah, I'm sure you'd have great time with it. And it's so light as well. So it would fit into a camera bag easy, and I played with them. They sound lovely. It's not the worst I've ever heard in my whole life. It could be a really good option for an awful lot of people.
Yeah, that looks really cool, actually. Yeah, I'm still using my H4n. I have two of them.
Oh, yeah?
I mean,
How
they
do you
work.
find that?
I'm using it right now.
Oh, yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah. Because this is this M94, and so I need phantom power with it. So I needed to. Yeah, so I couldn't. Yeah.
Sorry, Daniel. You were saying.
No, you're good. I want to. I think this mic though is two directional, so I might get one of those like because I had a Blue Snowball right for video conferencing, which was great because I can move around and.
Yes.
But the problem is it didn't sync with the Nikon because the way the HDMI comes in. So I have this whole contraption set up now to make this work, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that you've really got to be careful about, especially if you're buying a recorder or you're looking at an option for your iPhone, maybe an XLR that plugs into the lightning connector, things like that, that you can get phantom power. Right. Because you mightn't be using just a normal dynamic mic for the rest of your life. You might actually go out and buy yourself a decent, really good mic that needs phantom power. So you kind of just look at the back of everything you buy to make sure that it supplies phantom power, because it's something an awful lot of people overlook. And then you find yourself totally goosed when you buy your beautiful new gear. Then you got to buy more gear just to make it bleeding work, So yeah.
Well, it's funny, and I tell the story sometimes. I only have like 4 stories. I tell the same ones all the time. But we were doing this job, and they brought in an audio mixer guy, and I would think, I mean, as a photographer, like I just bring stuff just to be safe. This guy did not bring any way to give Mike's phantom power, and he was going into his computer. And he didn't bring like a Zoom recorder. He had like a computer that was taking the audio in somehow. And we had all these mics that needed phantom power, and he couldn't use them. He's like, "Oh, I don't have a way." I'm like, what? How do you not have a thing to do phantom power? So we ended up using.
He hasn't worked a day since.
Oh no! I mean, I definitely didn't use it. And we had 1 or 2 mics that you could put batteries in. So we used.
Yeah.
But and I think we had one mic that was didn't need it. It was didn't need fan power. But I was just like, we have all these mics, we can't use any of them. Like, we want to test all these mics and play with them.
Oh, that's
Like,
just crazy.
Oh, I was so mad.
That is just crazy.
Yeah, it was a brand that brought in the guy, so it was like, and it was their thing. So it was their loss, really, because we didn't get to show all their mics. But it was like, why would you bring a guy?
Wow, they were showing off microphones as well.
Yeah, it was back when I very first started with that. I remember we used to do what we do the live streams now, which, by the way, we're coming back this week. We used to do what was called Pro Days, and brands would come in with their stuff, and then I would just like demo it or whatever. And yeah, it was a microphone demo, and they're like, we need a professional sound guy, blah blah blah, and they brought this guy in. Like, I was like, I don't know what to tell you.
Check out the CV first, huh?
Gain first, the amount of application need to apply a signal each nominal zeros. Oh yeah, that sounds pretty good. Relative level of signal in the mix. Yep, that's pretty much what you said. I was thinking to buy one for the field interviews. Okay, so is that Zoom for the field interviews, and usually I'm alone. Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, I think it sounds awesome. I put it on my wish list when we were on it. I shouldn't talk to you because I buy stuff. Because I mean, these work great, but I've had them for so long. There's also like a Zoom 8 or something that just came out that has all these things coming out of it.
Oh, wow. Did you see that thing?
Yeah.
It looks savage. I think it's the ugliest thing ever, but if it works, why does that have to be pretty? You know what I mean? Yeah. Listen, wow. Yeah. Brilliant. Why not? I have the F8, I think it is, the field recorder, which is just a joy. And I hook it up to my iPad just to control the thing and stuff like that as well. But that's a beast of a machine that they just launched. I mean, I'm sure it's brilliant.
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, wow. I mean, I could upgrade, but I don't, need to. So
yeah.
It's just funny because
you're buying toys for buying toys' sake.
Yeah, exactly. I can't help myself. Yeah, I like having the different gear. It's like, but that's the good thing about buying something decent. The Zoom wasn't super expensive when I bought it, but it's lasted me all these years. So it's like,
but that's it, man. Like, I mean, a little bit of future proofing in your head is all good. We literally last night we finished filming the new shows, and we were filming all day. It was great, and we got the whole thing done. But one of the shows that I was shooting, and I'll be out soon, is my suggestions for your first recorder.
Oh,
and I suppose it'll be of interest for people, going to college. They have to get themselves a new recorder and stuff like that. So I was looking at the Tascams, and that DR40 just looks amazing in that you have 4 tracks, okay? Right. 2 mics that are sitting on board, and you can plug in 2 other mics as well. And I mean, am I wrong in saying that it's less than $150? I don't know. You're all over here. You're like a machine, man. There's steam coming out of that keyboard.
Yeah. Okay. DR44 tracked handheld digital recorder.
DR40.
40.
Tascam,
yeah.
DR40.
40, right?
Yeah.
It's $100 currently. It's $120, but it's a $20 instant rebate. And then there's a 40X, which is more. That has a USB interface, I guess, as well.
So you could use that as a podcaster mic or something like that.
Yeah, or even, that one's $179.
But I mean, that's a whole audio interface when you think about it.
Yeah. Well, what's funny? So is the H4n. That's one reason why I kept it.
Yeah, it's always the little bits the little bit more bang for your buck that I'd be looking for, you know what I mean? Especially if people are asking me, Keith, what do you think? And I go, yeah, well, do you want just a big record button and a microphone and that's it? You see, that costs you €79 or $79. But you know what? For 80 or maybe a tenner extra, you get this other little function. And, it's always so worth your while to do a little bit of research. Just even on the Adorama site, you know what I mean? Or any other site, anywhere you can garner some extra little bit of information. You know what? You spend $120 on the DR40, and then that'll get you going and keep you going for a long time. Because if you buy something like, imagine it was just a recorder and like, for want of a better term, a dictaphone, maybe, imagine, you will come to the point very quickly where you've outgrown it. You
Yeah.
need to do another function. You need to get another mic in there. You need to get something else going. So yeah, a little bit of homework, but I was very impressed with the DR40. Very impressed. You know, I'm going to do another show. I was on to Tascam and said, just send us over a load of your stuff so I can listen to them. I mean, it's lovely that they can send them over. I have a listen to them and I can get my hands on them. So it's not like I'm not reading a brochure or whatever else. It's great that these companies can turn around and say, listen, man, try them, see what you think. And if they're a bag of doo-doo, they're a bag of doo-doo. I'll say it. I have to say it. You know what I mean? You can't be dishonest about it. Well, in my own headspace, these people are looking for actual information. They're genuinely looking for help. So you don't have somebody knocking on your door looking for a bit of food and you go, you know, make up excuses and whatever. So when people genuinely ask me information, I really, really would prefer to give them actual experience. I mean, I'm in the game 30 years, right? So I've got a shed load of experience as well, but I find myself researching every single day, finding new equipment, playing with new equipment, ringing up Tascam, ringing up Zoom, ringing up Avid, ringing up whoever, say, listen, will you send us the stuff? And I get to play with it for a few days. I send it back to them, say, listen, man, that was great. What did you think? It was a bag of crap, you know, or whatever. Maybe, well, that's probably the negative. You're going in with the negative there. So that was great, but maybe if we did this, that, and the other, and we could look at maybe you know what I mean? The whole department here, you know what I mean? Maybe the whole department could look at this aspect of, you know, so, because I got a bit of experience with that as well. I do UI and UX for hardware companies and software companies around the world. So I kind of got an experience of when I'm playing with toys for 30 years, you kind of get a workflow in your head and you know what button should be going where and the ergonomics and how humans think and how buttons should be for them. So in that sense, yeah, it's really, really important for me to get my hands on these things and be able to say it to them, to these companies as well, that are sending me stuff. You know, that won't be great for an awful lot of people. Maybe if we looked at, but to get the stuff in my hand, I'm a kind of tangible guy. I need to, you know, play with it.
Well, I think that makes it a difference, especially when, that's why I often say if somebody's like, what do you think of such and such thing? I'm like, well, I haven't tried it. So it's hard
Yeah.
for me to say. I think too many people just look at specs and make a judgment. But it's funny what you said about the like how it feels, because one of the very first things I ever do when somebody gives me a new product to do, they'll be like, well, this is how it works. Don't show me. Give it to me. Let me see if I can figure it out. Because I've been doing this a long time. If I can't figure it out pretty, you know, at least most of it, then that's an issue. Like it's, you know, I should be able to get a general idea of how it works just by touching it. What is somebody who's not experienced going to do, if you know? So that's one of the very first things.
Yeah. And there's a huge, I don't know whether it's just human nature, but they also supply you with a book that tells you how it works. And an awful lot of guys go, oh, the book is gone. You know what I mean? It's gone. Where was that book? And it's gone. It just disappears. It vaporizes, you know? And one thing I would say is, you know, read the book. I'm that kind of dude that sits down, oh, lovely manual. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, there's so many things. And it's funny that an awful lot of issues that I might address with companies is the reading of the manual as well. That's not English, you know what I mean? That's not English. People don't understand that, you know? So it's funny in that sense.
Well, what's funny about that too is that you say that is that you notice that more and more people are not giving you the manual anymore, right? It's like you have to go online. I just got something that was like that. I opened it and there was no manual. And I'm like, how do I even work this thing? And like it was like, go to this website. And I'm just like, what if I'm not near a thing? Oh, I know what it was. It was the sorry. It was a GoPro. I got a GoPro Hero 8. It doesn't come with a manual. I'm like, I have no idea how to work. And then finally, it was stashed under. I think there was like a quick start. So I got some of the stuff, but I'm like, what? There's no manual. But then I guess because people throw them away, like you said, they figured.
Literally just they just want to get to the toy. It's like Christmas, ripping open the presents, throw away the wrapping. You know.
Yeah. So But it was funny though when it's not there and you want it, and you're just like, "Where's the?" So, yeah, it took me a while to figure it out. I was like, but I did figure it out, which again goes to their credit.
Which is a learning curve in itself, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, and every camera is a little bit different, but you want to have a general idea of how it works.
Big time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially
the most frustrating thing is when the same brand does something and it's different. Like I have 2 Sony cameras that are pretty close together and they're like 1 year apart, and the menus are completely different. It's like I'm like, why did they change the menu so much? It kills me. Yeah, but yeah.
And was the year later an improvement?
I didn't think so, but I mean, as far as the way the menu was, I mean, I think they moved stuff around. Who knows why? I think they add features and they just. Sure. It's like when you put a new app on your phone and everything just pushes that way. That's what it felt like. I'm like, why is this
page 40? You know what I mean? I knew I had this app somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, they are basically computers now. It's funny. Oh man! All right, any questions, guys? They're just listening to us talk about
the Zoom 8 looks like a spider. It's a lump of a thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I want to actually play with it though, because the unfortunate thing about what's going on. Well, I mean, there's a lot of unfortunate things going on about COVID, but I'm not in the city nearly as much, so I don't get to go. A lot of times at Adorama, they'll have all the stuff, so I can just be like, "Ooh, you have the thing," and I'll get to look at it. But I haven't been down there in forever. So
the F6, I see somebody, Adam, Adam. Sorry, man, I don't have my glasses on. I'm as old as an old man, but he's saying about the F6 is on his wish list as well. And I tell you, man, it's on mine as well. That's got 32-bit recording, which is almost impossible to distort, and the conversion, you could do it in your DAW, but it looks like an absolute peach, that machine.
So what exactly, I mean, simply, what does that actually mean? So when you have more bits in the recording, what do you get from that?
More so you're looking at, do you remember those things called CDs? They had a thing called 16-bit. So it's just about the dynamic, so your dynamic, it had a very small dynamic, and it could handle that. That's why everyone could press the hell out of everything in the 80s and the 90s just to get it onto a CD so it would sound amazing in digital. God, they were wrong. Anyway, then we got HD TV and stuff like that, and it was 24-bit, which gave us a much bigger dynamic, and it made things much softer on the ear. So we had loudness standards brought in, and it was all very, very, very nice. And we've been sitting on 24-bit for a long time because it's a very, very, it's really brilliant in that, you have a lovely dynamic. You could put almost a film mix on TV or for streaming and stuff like that. So you have the loud bits are loud and the quiet bits you still can hear okay. I know it's all down to mixing and things like that as well, but you have a much bigger dynamic range with 24-bit than 16-bit. So we're not compressing and squashing everything to get it into that bandwidth, 32-bit float is like, wow, miles and miles up. So you look at Zoom's adverts or the website, and there's this dude and he's recording some stuff in a photograph on a train platform, and the train goes whoa, and if you're doing quiet dialogue and the star of the show just gets in, darling, I love you. And I just wanted to say, and then the train goes by and destroys everything, whereas this should be able to handle it. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
Now, you won't hear your man doing his darling line, but hey,
It won't blow out. Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah. I was curious exactly what that meant in audio, because I understand it in photo with color, but that's so interesting.
But generally, we're all still working off 24-bit, especially in cinema and stuff like that as well. Still with HD TV, we haven't, all the machines, 99% of the machines will all work to 24-bit. It's when you get the F6 and you take your 32-bit out of there, there's a bit of conversion and normalization and stuff just to get everything back into that bandwidth, because you got to take that bandwidth, bring it down to 24-bit bandwidth, you know what I mean, for want of a better term, just to try and explain it, you know what I mean? So yeah.
That makes sense. But at least you didn't lose it at the time.
No, it'd be clean as a whistle.
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, well, there you go. So I guess I need that. Because I did record on a train platform and I did blow up.
Look,
Very much
like
so.
an old man with glasses.
Yeah.
It's like recording audio as raw file camera. There you go. Thank you, Kay Adam.
That makes sense. So interesting. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I'm still old school, I guess.
What would you
My-
do? You
I'll
what?
keep
Oh,
it.
you're on your F4, of course. You record all your stuff to your F4.
Yeah. No, when I'm recording for my show, I record either directly into I go through the Zoom, I guess, or I go
Okay.
with a lav right into the camera. So I don't know
Oh
what camera.
wow! What camera do you have?
Either a Nikon Z50 is what I've been using lately. Yeah.
Z50.
Yeah, Z50. It's
Oh,
like a little.
okay.
I will show you. I'll be set and show stuff.
Great. And what's the audio capabilities on there?
It has a place where you can plug an audio in.
And it's okay. You don't have much distortion going on or anything like that. It can handle it okay.
It seems fine.
Okay,
I'm gonna
great.
say I don't really.
That's all you want.
I mean, I haven't had a problem with it, but I'm also not really. Yeah, this plus the little Rode cheap mic. Yeah, brands hate when you call things cheap. The little Rode Labs, they do pretty good. I mean, I don't know, works.
Smart Labs, yeah.
I actually didn't look because wasn't overly concerned with it. If I'm doing something that I care about the audio, I shouldn't say. Of course, I care about all the audio, but I have the better.
Yeah,
right. When I do like my show, like from the studio, I have the Zoom and I use Sennheiser GeForce. So
Beautiful.
the super old ones, but they work.
Yeah. Great. Happy days.
Yeah, I mean,
happy days. I think there's an awful lot of interest out there as well about how people put these things together and how we put these things together and the equipment that we'd be using on the day, how that all connects up. There's a huge amount of interest out there, which is great. Happy days. I'm seriously thinking of doing a full show on how I just put this stuff together. Do you know what I mean? And literally just what I plug in where, because the amount of people that are out there, especially podcasters and stuff like that, so many people and because they had a bit of time over the past couple of months, maybe hopefully that they were all well, that they have, Jace, you know what? I am interested in flower arranging. I'm sure there's other people out there. I'd love to put a podcast together. And it's amazing how many people don't actually have even the basic knowledge, you know?
And really, it's not, if you have somebody kind of show you a little bit, it's not as difficult as you might think. I said all the time, if it's something you want to do, then do it. You know, what could be the worst thing that could happen?
Big time. And I'm always saying in the show, put your comments or ask your questions in the comments below. Because if you're having any trouble whatsoever, you know, you're stressed and you're out of your depth and listen, I'm sure I've come across it at some stage. Let me just share the information, you know, as quick as you can. And then you don't have to be worrying. You just step back and absorb it and then step into it again. And then everything should be okay, you know, but ask the questions absolutely, emphatically. That's what we're here for. I mean, we're sitting here waiting for the questions to come down the line, even in this conversation.
That is all I do all day, actually. I'm like, oh, do I have another question? All right. So recommend an affordable headphone for editing audio.
Okay. So if you're editing audio, okay. Sorry, I'm wondering who asked me that.
Keith Myers.
Oh, hi, Keith. Oh, hi, Keith. Very good. Affordable for editing audio. Okay. This is a really tricky one because you know what? If you're editing audio, and I don't know where it's going to be delivered, but I will always say get the best you can speakers wise. And I'll tell you why the comparison, if you just consider big diaphragm headphones, sorry, Keith, that's my first and absolute answer. But if I can explain myself, if you got big diaphragm headphones, okay, good quality diaphragm headphones, and they are worth every penny that you can spend, that you can afford to spend on them, okay? If you get little bud headphones, you don't get any bass end. I know it'll say on the packet, extra bass, but that's only a processing thing that is built into the machine. Whereas if you actually can manage to hear extra bass with bigger diaphragm headphones, good old AKGs or Bears, the big old ones. I look like a Cyberman walking around with my yokes on, you know what I mean? And at least you can get a better range from these, a better response from these headphones. So you're getting stuff like, excuse me, you're hearing, hums, buzzes, noise on your recordings. So you're just facilitating yourself to catch as much as you can. So what I would say is, if you are editing and the only option to you is headphones, get as big diaphragm cans as possible, the big old BBC ones, the Beyerdynamics. I've got the, what are they called, the 10 something DT 10 something or others, and they're just magic. I can bring them anywhere and do anything. I look stupid wearing them, but I don't care. You can hear everything. Well, you can hear most things with them, but ultimately, if you're editing audio, I seriously suggest that you beg, borrow, or rent proper speakers. Because if you edit a gig for broadcast and it comes back and you haven't heard what the problem is because you don't have the proper monitoring, you're going to get it in the neck, man. You know what I mean? So if you can possibly get and invest, or if you don't use them every day, rent them and get the best you possibly can for the gig. The gig will bring in a few bob, so that'll cover the rent. So that's all good. Nobody's out of pocket. You haven't earned as much, but at least you've done the job right. So it's really important to get your monitoring exquisite as possible, I mean, the speakers that I'm working to are like a few grand each. Do you know what I mean? And that's just for editing. And I would never consider working with anything less. But that's just me and my snobbery and the gigs that I have to do. Because if I walked in with a couple of, little computer speakers and I tried to edit a movie on that or edit dialogue on that, and it went into the cinema and everyone was like, what? All shit would all hell would break loose, man. I'd have to move house,
Well, that's what it is, right? There's different levels to everything. We talk about this a lot with gear. You talk about the photography. It's like, it depends on what you're doing. If you're doing a gig that is, a professional gig or a higher end gig, you need to use higher end equipment. Even if you don't own it, you rent it.
Yes.
But if all you have is less expensive stuff and you're doing smaller gigs or you're just starting, then you should still create, but just know that you have that goal.
There's no question. If you're going out to start and you just want to dip your toe in the water of, Jace, you know what? I'm stuck here at my desk every single day. I look out of the window and I see something over there, and you know what? I'd love to shoot that, and maybe bring in some sound effects to it, and but then you go back to your desk and you forget about it. Just get off the desk, go out and buy, if you have to, shoot it on your iPhone, shoot it on your mobile phone, take the audio off that. You haven't spent 100 and something bucks on buying really, really good microphones to plug into your iPhone or your other phone, the Android phone, or an actual recorder yet. When you're getting into it and you go, oh, geez, that was brilliant. What did you do today, Bob? Oh, I spent the whole weekend. See that thing across the road? I wanted to film that, and I filmed it. And you know what? I went and I got sound effects and I put it onto the thing, and it was the most amazing thing. So next weekend I'm going to, that's the point. Then you start thinking, geez, maybe a 70 bucks recorder wouldn't be too bad. Or, geez, I got 150 bucks. If this kept going, for 120 bucks, for only 50 quid extra, I can get this super duper thing. And you know what? If it doesn't work out for you, put it in a classified somewhere. You know what I mean? You'll get your money back, or else go to the classifieds in the first place, or, whatever. Don't let any of these things be a hindrance to your creativity.
Yeah.
Do what you can just to get the spirit out there. Do you know what I mean? If you got it inside you, let it out. Because it's going to make you happy,
Yeah, I think it's super important, and people just have to understand that there's no, like, I mean, maybe there is somewhere or something, I've yet to discover the super cheap thing that is as good as the thing that's more expensive. But that
Sure.
doesn't mean that if all you can have is a super cheap thing, doesn't mean that you shouldn't work. Do what you got to do. But also, no, I mean, there's been plenty of times when I was first starting, I had crappy lights and cameras, and when I got jobs, I rented. And like I said, I made less money, but I
Yeah.
did the job, and that got me more jobs, and that's really what's important.
Yeah.
You got to think about the balance of all that. Sound
And just in
devices.
that sense there, what you were saying, Daniel,
Yeah.
the cheaper gear, inverted commas. I'm looking at gear all the time, and I found a brand, and yes, it's cheaper than other stuff, but the innovation behind some of their products, I was blown away with. Do you know that? Because the big boys with the big company names and the expensive gear, they definitely weren't doing that. But you guys could go out and buy one of these inverted commas cheaper options, but that allows you to get a microphone into an Android phone. Now you have a recorder.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to have an iPhone even to plug a microphone in, because an awful lot of these products are designed just for iPhone. This cheaper brand, inverted commas, I won't mention names, they do it for an Android phone. So now everyone with an Android phone, they don't have any hindrance to their creativity either. It's a cheaper brand. So what? Get it, buy it. Why not? It'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
Get out there and enjoy yourself,
Well, it's funny you say that, because that does happen. Sometimes you get these like really interesting, innovative features in your less expensive brands because they're trying it. The thing is that generally speaking, they're probably not going to last as long, be as reliable. But hey, if they might have something cooler. I can't tell you the number of times people showed me a cheap, inexpensive thing, and they're like, "But your fancy thing doesn't have this," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I've had my fancy thing for 10 years, and that's why I have it, is because it lasts." But yeah, but like I say, get what you got, what you can. But there is a question here that I have no idea. What's your take on Sound Devices Mix Pre 2? I have no idea what that is.
It's a field recorder. Sound Devices make incredibly beautiful machines. It's just like I remember walking into my pals. They have a excuse me. A couple of lads in town, they have this shop, and we were talking about a few gigs and stuff like that. It was great. It was funny, I mean, when I was in studios, I'm going to say 25 years ago, these guys were in and they were setting up the studio and whatever else. So we're always having the banter, and I'm always swinging by, and we're just hanging out and having a coffee. And they got the new range of Sound Devices in, and we were all just sitting there like that. It was just, I'd say if somebody took a photograph of us, we would have looked terribly sad. But they make beautiful machines, absolutely beautiful machines. And I know a few lads that just swear by them, beautifully built. Really, they'll last forever, and the quality of the audio is just exquisite. But they are expensive, so you do pay for the quality and all of that sort of stuff as well. So you'll have to write your letter early to Santa if you want to get one,
No, that doesn't look that bad. Sound Devices Mix Pre 3 2.
Yeah.
5-track audio recorders, about $600, $800, maybe, I guess. Hold on, no, it's $680. Oh, okay. There's a range here. There must be. There's the 6 and the 10. So it depends on how many inputs you want.
In that.
Yeah, so you got 5-track that looks like it's got 3. Hold on, 3 preamps. Hold on, I have no idea.
So it's only 3 mics you can put in, is it?
It looks like 3 mics. No. Yeah. Okay, now it has 1 XLR. It looks like, unless they're in the. Oh no, it has 3 XLRs. 3 XLRs, and then it also has an audio mic, like it looks like a quarter. But I'm guessing that probably right towards the same. Yeah, so it's a 3-tracker. It's a 3-track for $680. That's not bad.
Yeah,
but then you've got
it's only 3 tracks as well. Yeah. So if I'm investing that sort of money, I would either spend a little more money on getting more tracks, or I kind of might look at other options as well. Because when all is said and done, $680 it's a lot of money. You know what I mean? That's true. At the end of the day, I personally don't have it sitting in my pocket right now,
This is true, yeah.
So, I feel, I think we're back to the same conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
the best bang for your buck. If you got
Yeah.
800 bucks to just blow on something, and that's just going to be the most gorgeous thing, and you'll just put it up on the wall and ogle at it most of the time that you're not using it, go ahead, man. Oh, absolutely do it. You will love this thing. But if you've only got 500 bucks in your pocket and you got a specific gig with 4 mics to get going, then you need to start looking around, do you know? But
Right. Yeah.
I have to reiterate, they're just amazing machines. They're gorgeous.
Yeah. No, it looked pretty good. Right. So the 8-track one is about $900, and then there's a 12-track that's about $1,500. So yeah, that's true. I mean, see, I always just look at myself where I'm just recording me, but yeah, if you're an actual audio person, you 3 tracks is probably not
about me.
I only think about myself. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, audio goes up that. Yeah, I mean, I do that sometimes too. You know what's funny about, so this question or statement, a lot of YouTube videos with the audio fluctuation. I think that happens a lot of times. Okay, so I'll say as a YouTuber that, you know, most of us are not, the audio is the last thing, not the last thing we think about, but the last thing we're skilled at, right? Because if you're making videos for about, you know, if you're making any kind of video, the first thing you're going to want to learn is how to use the video camera and then the lighting. Like that's, you want to look good. Everybody thinks they want to look good, right? But really you want to sound good. But we don't realize that until we don't sound good. But I have a feeling people do that because they are recording at different times and they don't think about that. They're just trying to, maybe that comes back down to the levels thing. You know, you need to look at, if I'm recording here, right, in my office, and I set my levels a certain place outside and I don't set them the same, then it's going to fluctuate up and down, right?
You mean between video and video?
Well, no, they're saying in the middle of the video. So the statement, the whole thing is, so many YouTube videos have audio fluctuations. It shouldn't be at this point with how long they've been on YouTube. So I'm assuming they mean inside the video.
So YouTube works to a standard. I don't know how strict they are in that. Again, it's all about loudness and how you mix your show. So you're mixing with meters and you need a loudness meter at the end of your mix on your master. And you need to be mixing to a thing called -13 LUFS, which means that's the standard that they will go to. Now, if you're mixing, imagine this is your -13 LUFS. If you're not metering your show correctly and you mix your show down here, YouTube will not bring it up. They will not bring it up. But if you mix it too loud, they will whack it down to the loudest part to -LUFS. So if you have a very dynamic show and you're not controlling your levels, they'll take it down to the loudest part, which means the quietest parts are really quiet. So the most important thing anyone can do while they're doing their mixing is get a loudness meter. And that'll allow you to mix your show to a specific level. I found a brilliant loudness meter, and there's a free version. It's called Youlen, Youlen loudness meter. And excuse me, I think the full version is only 50 bucks. And you would not believe this, the quality of this thing. It's absolutely amazing. But also it all has presets. So if you're mixing for Spotify, you're mixing for YouTube, you just select that preset and then you mix to the loudness meter. And you should be bang on for your levels in YouTube, Spotify, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So this is a piece of software.
It's a developer in Europe. It's a young lad, and he came up with this as a project. And I couldn't believe it. My jaw hit the floor when I saw it. It's so good. It's so good. You know, I would use the free version as a professional loudness meter. It's brilliant.
I'm downloading it right now.
Yeah, he's out there somewhere.
I put the link in the chat, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll
that's
download
why
that.
you're probably hearing the different levels of your shows. Did you ever look at, we did a show on this recently, actually. If you right click on your video window, you know the stats for nerds? If you right click on your videos window, you'll see well, not live stuff, but stuff that you upload. You'll see the stats for nerds. And Google will have gone by there and check the level of your show. And if it's too loud, it'll have brought it down. But if it's too low, you'll see the actual how loud it was and how much they brought it down just to bring it into level, or if it was too quiet. So you can see your actual audio levels there. And you can check all your videos that you've uploaded already and just see where you are. Are you near the sweet spot or not?
What should it say? Because currently we're at 62%. I don't know if that's good or bad. What is that? That's pretty good. 62 is not a failing grade.
Make sure that the volume slider on your video is up to 100%.
Oh, hold on.
And then check it out, you know. But it's interesting to have a look at those, you know, and especially if you've uploaded a few things, you'll just see the difference in the level of all these different shows, you know.
It comes up 100%.
Great.
Yeah.
You're 100%, Daniel. You're 100%.
Yeah, so that's good. So that's definitely not a failing grade. I never knew you could right click on a video before. I'm very excited about this.
We're all learning today, buddy.
That's my thing I learned today. Oh man. Okay. There you go. Well, that's it. That's what you came for, guys. Audio is frustrating, especially if you don't have ears. That's true. Oh, good for handing off to our friend. Yeah, it's funny because I think a lot of filmmakers will be like, oh, you know, they always teach us in school that it's more important to have good audio than anything else. But again, photographers coming into it, we think visually, so we don't think about the audio. It's one of the things we learned last time. That's been my experience.
You know what, lads? I'll be honest with you, and this is not just me saying it because I'm an audio guy or whatever, but how do you expect your audience to engage with your story if they can't hear the message, or it's really grating on their ears because your audio is so bad or so low? You can't get people to engage in video if you don't look at your audio. Your audio, as far as I'm concerned, is at least 90% of your production. And I tell you why, because if you can't engage with the people, there's no point in making the video in the first place. If they can't hear your message, if they're not getting your message, if they can't understand the story you're telling, because the sound is awful. It's just grating on their ears. It's way too low. There's too much noise there. There's too much distraction in your mix. You've got a piece of audio from one scene that's way too dirty and you cut to another scene and it's just the join between the two scenes is now distracted because of the join of the ambience in this scene and this scene. You need to soften it. You need to nurse the ears. You need to make sure that these people are hearing it and not getting distracted by all the dirt and cracks and bangs and whistles and disgusting dialogue. Then your story, they'll be sitting down, they'll be told your story and they'll engage with your story. Their mind isn't being distracted. There's nothing visually wrong, but their mind is completely distracted with all this crap audio and they just, you know. So if you want to engage with them, you got to do the decent thing and do your best for them so they can hear your message, they can hear your story. And you're only going to do that if you don't distract them with the bad audio. The bad audio carries them, or the good audio carries your message and carries your story. So you really need to start focusing on it to engage with your audience on whatever you're doing, whether it's a podcast. Oh my God, how many podcasts have I heard that it's just whoever sitting in his kitchen or his bathroom and doing his podcast from there. And he has his microphone down there and he's doing his, and then this week on Flower Arranging, and all you're hearing is room and you're hearing bathroom and the cisterns going and somebody else is walking in through to make a sandwich. And it's, oh lads, please, 2 minutes, have 2-minute conversation with yourself before you sit down and plug in a microphone. Is this the best place to do it? You know what I mean? It's always worth gold. You know what I mean? So yeah, please engage with your audio. I can't hear you, Daniel. Can you hear me? Is everyone? Is it only me? Can you hear me? You can. Okay. No. This is live TV, folks. Oh, something happened there. I can't, man. I'm stuck in Dublin. If I could, I would.
Okay, she'll be back.
There
back.
you are. We're back.
Okay, so I forgot to plug in my Zoom recorder. So it was running off batteries for the last
okay.
hour, so it died. But that's why I leave batteries in, just in case something happens. So
Fair play.
yes, I've done that before. So I'm surprised Seth didn't guess what it was, because I did it before with the camera. Every time, yeah, I know I'm the worst at this. See, audio is the last thing I thought about. Oh, that's too funny. I mean, I was going to say something brilliant too, and you guys probably all missed it.
It could have been the answer to the universe for all we knew. You know what I mean?
That's true. Oh, the audio is like a toupee. You only notice it when it's bad. That's good.
It's like what? You broke up there, man. What did it say?
Audio is like a toupee. You only hear it when it's bad.
I like that. Yeah. The other good phrase is, everyone's saying, oh, audio, and I always say to them, well, nobody ever walked out of a cinema whistling a wide shot.
Well, what's super interesting about that too is that, like, so I watch a decent amount of movies that are not in English, and which is the only language I speak. So I have the subtitles on, but I don't turn the audio off. I still listen to the audio because it definitely affects the scene, even if I don't understand the language.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's the dynamic, there's the rhythm, there's the sense of the word, there's the force of the words. Is he shouting? Is he quiet? Is he this? Is he that? So you are getting the feel of the conversation, even though you don't understand a word of the language. I mean, it's amazing. I do, one of the strands of work that I do is taking a load of European movies, and we dub them into English.
Oh.
And I've been doing it for years and years and years and years. And it's extraordinary the difference between a movie from Denmark and a movie from their next door neighbor, Norway, and how the language is spoken, how the syllables work, and culturally, and it's just extraordinary, because I'm in there all the time doing that, and we've got so many what we call shullas. They're syllables. Syllables Oscailga in Irish is called a shulla. So when I say hello, there's I don't have a hang on a second. So right, here we go. This is the one. You're not the only one that has a puppet, mister. Okay, so hello, Daniel. Okay, so when I say hello, that's two shullas, two syllables. But in another language, it could be three. So they animate the three, 1, 2, 3. But we got to come along with our script that says, character A says hello. And you go, hello. Like you remember the martial arts movies in the 70s and the 80s?
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
So exactly. Okay. So we gotta write the script, and like 50-60% of our day is adjusting the script just for that. And they will have cultural at the end of words, and they'll do, it's just an extraordinary thing. Language, you're saying about, you're looking at these foreign movies and whatever else, and when you actually get into the nitty gritty of putting something into another language, oh my God, man, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Anyway, this is Emu. I got him when I was 4 years of age.
Really? That's awesome.
I think I
Excellent.
think I'll bring him onto the show. Actually,
Should now. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Next time we do this, we could do the two puppets.
Yeah, the next conversation would just be the puppets talking to each other. We can go to the pub.
Exactly. Vegard says, I'm Norwegian. Danes can't even understand each other.
So true.
Yeah. It's just funny how you say that. And it's a huge business, this dubbing and stuff. Because when I lived in Miami, we did the shoot for Univision, which is like a Hispanic, the big Hispanic station, and they had like a whole section of the building where these little soundproof rooms where people were doing the translation or doing all the shows to Spanish, for Univision. It was huge.
I mean, it's phenomenal, especially when it's what is Spanish, the biggest spoken language on the planet. And you see also for all these productions from around the world, around Europe, around Asia, around everywhere that don't speak English, like aviation, the international language of animation is English. Like aviation, the international language of aviation is English. It's just the way it is and the way it came around or whatever. So if I am in France and I make the most beautiful cartoon, because I work in animation an awful lot, I do very little live action. If I make this extraordinary thing and I want to sell it around the world and try and make a few bob back, because there's an awful lot of money put on the line to make a movie and stuff like that. So if I want to claw any of that back and I want to sell it internationally, all distributors will look for an English version. So if the Danes are selling a movie to France, the distributor will want an English version because they won't dub it from Danish to French. The French people that'll be taking the movie in and want the French version, they'll need the English version to make the French version, which is kind of wild. It's mad. It is mad, So that's what, an awful lot of the work that we would do mightn't even go on and be seen in English. But the distributor has the version to give to the Spanish, the French, the Koreans, the whoever, so they can make their own version from the English version, which is kind of wild,
Oh, Maeve is here. Hey, Maeve.
Maeve.
You know Maeve?
Yeah. Where is she?
I'm assuming she's in
I'm
Ireland.
as blind as a Batman. Hi, Maeve. How's it going? KK Welter.
She's closer to you than me.
Absolutely. She could just shout out the window.
When I was in Ireland, we went to the town, because I can't think of it now, and I won't say because I don't want to get them rated, where CEP is, right? And we went and it was such a cute little town. They weren't there. Apparently they were on lunch or something. We missed them. But we just drove in this town. It was so fun just walking around. So yeah.
It's a beautiful town. Beautiful town.
Yeah, it was really, really pretty.
It's a beautiful part of the world with the cameras and all that.
Yeah, I didn't know that about the animation, and that's super interesting, actually.
It's an amazing world. It's an absolutely amazing world.
Huh. Weird. There you go. Who knew? And it's funny then that the English one doesn't line up all the time.
Yeah. Well, there's levels of there's quality work and there's other work, So there's companies and they are literally like battery chickens.
Right.
And that's all they do. Just get the line over that space, don't worry about the syllables and stuff like that.
Right.
Just get it done. And they do vast amounts of it,
right.
And that's one end. Whereas thankfully I'm working on the other end, whereas we'd spend, I'd spend 2 or 3 weeks changing an hour and a half long animated movie into English. And I'd say half a week at least, if not more, is just adjusting the script accordingly to fit those mouths and all the gutturals, the cultural gutturals that occur quite naturally to these people that are making their movie, because they'd record it in their native language and animate it to the native language. And then it comes over to us and go, wow, that's weird. It's
So
great. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, that's humans. I mean, they're just extraordinary creatures, you know? Unbelievable.
Oh, well, Adam says that I guess you're talking about languages in the world. Mandarin is number one. I guess that makes sense. There's a lot of people in China. And then
Oh,
Spanish
yeah,
is
of
number
course.
two, then English. Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Huh. Which is even more strange then. But I guess if you're making animation, like let's say, let's say in China, which I'm sure they
Mhm.
probably have a large, they make it originally in their language. But you're saying when they want to
Yeah.
distribute it, they switch it to English. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
an
they don't
awful
require
lot of support for filmmaking in countries. If you make your movie in its native language, you can get tax breaks and government supports and stuff like that. So, as part of the financing package, just to get the thing made in the first place, an awful lot of producers will invariably just go with their native language because they can get a few bob, you know, to make the thing in the first place. So to bring this art to the screen in the first place, listen, absolutely. And you engage with your native country and it's a goodwill thing. Like, I mean, they all the native nation are looking at their own culture on screen because you know the amount of output from America and other countries that you know cover Netflix and they cover you know all the cinemas around the world, you know, there mightn't be as much opportunity for other countries to have their own culture on the screen, you know. It's one thing Will Ferrell going to Iceland to talk about the Eurovision, whereas it's not actually his culture, you know.
Right.
Whereas people from Iceland want to see films about and stories about people in Iceland, and the same with France and Germany and Korea and China and you name it, India. They want to see themselves on the screen and identify with that, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
We're back to those beautiful human beings again.
yeah, I mean, that's what it's for, right? We're here for people.
Yeah.
You know, if you what's the use of creating if you're just doing it just to do it? You know, you want to create so that people enjoy it and be fulfilled by it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
awesome. Well, we've been rolling for almost an hour and a half. I think that's probably good. I know it's crazy, right? Oh, my computer's still doing it right there. Yeah, we started at 3, right? 3 my time.
Brilliant.
That was amazing.
Half 4?
Yeah, so it's 4:30 almost. Yeah, so that's what time
Wow.
it is. It's time for a Guinness.
Oh, it's 9:30 here now. It's even, yeah, it's 9:30.
Yeah.
It won't be getting dark here for another few hours.
Right. And it's the summer's here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But yes, thank you so much. We should do it again. I'm sorry it took so long. And now
Listen,
I have
man,
my
that was
WhatsApp
an
set up.
absolute joy. It was an absolute joy.
It was super
We
fun.
have to do that sooner than later.
Yes, for sure. We'll do something. If you guys don't already check out Keith's stuff, it is on Adorama TV under
Perfecting Audio.
Perfecting Audio. I put a link in the description. Also, his website, if you're interested in other things, is Noise Minor. You're also that on social, right? Like so on Instagram.
Yeah.
And,
So my website is noiseminor.com. I have a few websites on there because I have many plates spinning. So yeah, noiseminor.com. You can find my audio page on there. And then, yeah, just social is Noise Minor ultimately. And then Perfecting Audio with Keith Alexander on the Adorama TV website or YouTube channel. You know,
yeah, definitely watch it. It's a great show. I always enjoy watching it, even though I learned because I you think you know things. I mean, I've been making videos for a long time, and I obviously recording audio, but man, you just little bits, even if you have a taste. And I noticed just now because I'm very slow at noticing that you have a guitar behind you. I feel like there's going to be some kind of musical.
I probably have many guitars behind me, just
yes,
like you. I didn't want to feel left out.
There will be a musical episode at some point.
Listen, we'll do it from a pub in Dungarvan the next time. How's that?
Yes, that's the way to do it. You're on. I'll get my ukulele.
We'll bring the puppets. We'll bring the puppets. They'll be able to bring us home.
Exactly. All right. So thanks, Keith. I am going to stop the stream here, guys. If you have more questions, go ahead, put them in the the comments after this is stopped streaming, and of course, we will do our best to answer.
And again, if you guys have any audio questions that you want to throw by me or whatever, you'll get the shows on there, the Perfecting Audio playlist, and just throw your questions into the comments. And we'll get back to you and give you whatever help I can, if that's any help to you.
Excellent. All right, guys. We'll see you.
See you, lads.